on the stage. Somebody's certainly going to get hurt. There's definitely going to be a lawsuit. What is going on back there? Jay, stay away. Last year, Jay famously fell off the stage and didn't sue me, thank you. Okay, so you've made a scooter. That's incredible. It has 2 wheels. Is this the last one, Tyler? Last one. Okay, great. Wow, I love the RoboCam, by the way. That's awesome that we got that RoboCam going. Get that RoboCam in there. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay. So I'm Michael Keating, and I'm the founder of Scoot Networks. And I have got to get out of here. I've heard there's a party at the W later, and I do not want to be fighting all of you for cabs. I do not want to be waiting for a bus. I don't want to be circling for parking, and I definitely don't want to spend my investors' money on Uber.
Boo! You do want to spend your money on Uber.
So I'm going to take a Scoot. And I have this Scoot app here on my phone. So the Scoot app will find me a scooter, and it'll let me reserve it. So when I get there, I know that the scooter will be there, and no one else will have scooped it up. To unlock this scooter, all I have to do is just dock my smartphone here, this dock that we made. And it's going to remind me to do a couple key things before I start riding, most important of which is put my helmet on. So take care of all that. And when we're ready to go, we just go. And we're Scoot Networks. We're basically Zipcar with electric Vespas. And we are disrupting local transportation. We want to make customers out of all of you, so we're doing live on-street demos in front of the conference. We hope you all come and test it out.
Awesome. Well done. And just so people know, I saw the back wheel was actually moving. So what you're saying is when you put the phone, your iPhone in that cradle, and you hit go, that is the key.
That is the key. The phone is the key.
What if it's Android?
We're actually compatible with Android. We just, that's our next thing. We just haven't done the app yet.
Yeah, I would rather the Android people not be on the scooters. I only want iPhone scooters, frankly. No offense. Go ahead, Mark.
So what about helmets? I don't have a helmet. Where do I get my helmet from?
So at the initial locations, we're providing helmets, all different sizes, ready for you to use. When we become a kind of a citywide network and we're doing one-way trips, sort of like bicycle sharing, if you've seen systems like that, we'll be providing helmets with the scooters that are checked for integrity regularly so that you can be sure you have a good helmet when you use it and it fits you.
Have you explored the 3-wheel vehicles? I feel that would open up the market quite a bit.
We've looked at them. They're great suggestions. They're substantially more expensive than this. The great advantage of this bike is that there are 25 million of its relatives on the road in China right now. We paid well under $1,000 for this scooter, and that's why we can roll them out at the kind of scale that allows us to be price competitive with mass transit and taxis.
In some states, this is considered a motorcycle, and you need a motorcycle license. So can you just address that?
It's a great point. This particular scooter can't go more than 30 miles an hour, which we think is plenty for the city. You can't take it outside of San Francisco. And because it's low-powered, in most states, you actually don't need a motorcycle license to either operate it or, in the case of California, to rent it.
And what about insurance and damage and theft of these devices? How do you manage that?
So theft, we're not too concerned about. Thing weighs 250 pounds, and there are a lot of nicer scooters than this in San Francisco, beautiful Vespas and things that I think someone else would rather steal. On the insurance point, we're planning to follow Zipcar. We plan to insure you once we get to the kind of scale and credibility that we can do that.
What do you need to roll this out in a city? Like, how much would it cost to have a large footprint of these in a city like San Francisco or San Diego or something?
A lot less than you'd think because of the cost of the vehicle and because it can use normal 110 AC charging. It doesn't require special chargers. So we're looking at 5 to 10 million to hit profitability in San Francisco.
So go ahead, Thomas. Yeah.
So how much money are you looking for?
We've raised about $250,000 from angels and an incubator at Greenstart, and we're looking for another quarter for our seed round so we can really prove the customer use case. Once we feel like we have enough traction to credibly seek a Series A, that's what we'll be raising probably in the summer.
Have you talked to the folks at Local Motion about maybe partnering with them? Because they seem to be taking the campus approach, And the campus approach, I mean, it would be a no-brainer for Zynga right over here to buy 100 of these. Mark Pincus would do that in a second to get his employees, and what a competitive advantage. They could take it home and then bring it back to work the next day.
That's exactly the model that we're looking for. We would love to, I think the Locomotion model is awesome for more suburban campuses, and this is the urban equivalent.
Wow. Any more feedback from the panel?
I went over the numbers on this, and the financials are amazing. The return and how quickly it pays off is incredible.
What am I going to pay for that? If I want to rent that for 6 hours, do I pay by hour or by mile? What's the fee?
We do it by time, and we see two major use cases. So we think you might be a commuter. You might ride this every day, and it might become your main mode of transportation. And we would look at $100 to $150 a month subscription, which is basically the same as a Muni Pass, plus about a taxi ride a week, all of which Scoot replaces. If you just wanted to take it across town, we really see ourselves more competing with taxis as opposed to sort of day-long tourist rental services. So we want to price this in a way such that this is basically just as fast as a taxi, but it's well under half the price. So you'd be looking at $2 for 15 minutes of use of the vehicle. So from here to North Beach for $3 or $4.
If I do a one-way trip, how do you get it back to base, and how do you deal with the charge, the range anxiety that comes with an electric vehicle?
It's a great point. So first, on the one-way trips, we'll be doing one-way trips once we reach a certain saturation in San Francisco, such that we have enough nodes and enough scooters that we can reasonably expect a good flow within the system, and we'll use pricing incentives to make sure that we keep the distribution of the vehicles relatively even. And then in terms of range anxiety, one of the great things about coupling with a smartphone for this service is we can actually visually represent for you the range that you have on the scooter. A full charge will do a round trip from any point in San Francisco to any other point in San Francisco. But if you have a half-charged scooter, you might be wondering, how far can I go on this? You'll see a circle on your map that tells you this is about how far this scooter will take me.
Have you built technology in when the iPhone's not there that can send through both GPS location and how much charge it is so that someone knows how much is available before they go ahead and book it?
So the way we track charge in scooters that aren't connected, the only network connection in the scooter is a user's phone. We think that that's a great virtue of the system. And so what we do is we track the charge when you check out, and then we extrapolate the battery voltage from there. We know if you've plugged it in, we know when you checked it out, we know how long it's been charging, so we know what the charge is when the next person uses it.
How long does it take to recharge?
We're using very simple electric vehicle technology here. These are lead-acid batteries, and they trickle charge.
So it's slow charge.
It's a slow charge. As lithium-ion batteries fall, we will very happily include them in these scooters, but this is sort of the anti-Tesla. This is a very low-end, very simple, very affordable electric vehicle.
But this also means that if I ride it out somewhere to the end of its charge, I can't ride that back. I have to find another scoot, right?
Yeah, and if in an urban system, if you feel like you want to be scooting all day, use one in the morning, swap it for a fresh one, take that out, swap it for another in the evening.
And would you, I don't see why you need to have an electric scooter. Why not also have gas-powered ones, knowing that some people might want to take longer trips?
There's a few advantages to the electric. One is the total cost of ownership is a lot lower. The second is an electric vehicle like this fits into that category, licensing category, that allows you to rent it with just a driver's license, which is really helpful. If we wanted to use gas, it would have to be a moped. And then the last reason is we think it's important that this is a proper green, disruptive business, and it's actually going to increase electric vehicle use and adoption.
Thomas?
So, this all sounds too good to be true. I trust Don on the numbers 1,000%. You're very slick. I saw you outside. You're probably the strongest branding throughout the entire conference because you have those scooters. Why has no one done this before? Why does Zipcar not do this, or a Civic car, or
does it exist in Europe or China, or is it just individuals who buy these?
They do bikes in Paris. This just seems too obvious that no one else has done it, and all you answer are the right ones. So something throws me off here.
Well, I'm going to take that as a huge compliment.
It is.
And what I'd like to point out is that a lot of these technologies seem mature to us. The smartphones. The electric scooters are sort of new, but there really are 25 million of them on the road in China, and it's a very mature technology over there. And then bicycle sharing is essentially a mature business service model in Europe. And this is a hybrid of the three. And no one's ever tried to bring the three together because each of the three has really only been at scale and this affordable for the past few years. So it's not something that could have been done 5 or 10 years ago. And as for the car sharing businesses, it's a great question. We think that Zipcar and the other car sharing companies have a massive, massive global opportunity just in cars. So and also it's perfectly complementary. I'm a Zipcar member. I love it. We don't see this as something that they would want to get into unless they thought it would be much, much more profitable and much, much bigger than car sharing.
So just for the purpose of me looking at you, at your company, are you a technology company? Are you what are you? Are you a hardware company? Are you a green tech company? What do you see yourself as? And like also think a couple years out.
We're an incredibly awesome disruptive company. We're also we're a transportation service provider, is what we are. And ultimately, I should throw more than a couple years out. A couple years out, we're a transportation service provider. 5 or 10 years out, we're the biggest network of electric vehicle parking and charging in the world.
So most of the people that will work for you will be repairing those or servicing customers, not building technology.
Most of the people, exactly, that's correct.
Okay, cool, thank you, very good.
Thank you.
Are those things underpowered for going up the hills here? Because I ride a scooter, or I've ridden a scooter for many years.
If you sit on it, Jason.
Yeah, clearly. But I'm just saying, I know scooters, and I think that you need a more powerful scooter to get up some of the hills here. A battery can't do it.
It can. I've ridden this scooter up Webster Street on the backside of Pacific Heights. It kind of crawls toward the top, but it can go up almost every street in San Francisco with a sort of medium-sized person.
But you can have dynamic rerouting, right? There's Google Maps on the phone.
But will it also drain, I mean, going up those hills will drain the battery significantly, yes?
It does drain the battery significantly to go up the hills.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hear it for Scoot Networks. Awesome
Thanks, everybody.
presentation. Okay.